Hello and welcome to this episode of the AI Show. So excited to be here. By the way, this is live. Look, I'm moving live. I wanted to see where everyone was coming from. So side of the eye. Where y'all coming from? Put in the chat. I'll give you a shout out. Tell me where you're coming from and what. Here. Maybe we should do like an introduction here. Tell us who you are. I always do this on the show. Tell us who you are. And what are you doing with AI? There's a 30-second delay, so I'll just side of the eye. We'll find out what's going on. All right, let me move this over here. Let me tell you what's going on today for the AI show. Oh, the computer is being weird. Here we go. Entire screen. Yes, we do not hold anything back here. Entire screen. Uh-oh. Wrong. No, not there. There we go. Okay. Today, the first half of the AI show, AI app templates. AI app templates. That's the first one. It's a pretty good one. We have a ways to get started with AI. So, star. And then at the top of the hour, AI. I just did that. I gotta delete this. Content. Oh my gosh, this is such bad writing. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna write it really nicely, okay? Because quality for everyone here. Content. I can't even make it good. Understanding part 2. Duh. Vinod is back. So this is coming up next. This is at top of the hour. We can totally do that. All right. Side of the eye. Let's see where people are coming from. Hold on, gosh, I'm so bad at this. Like, why do they let me do this? All right, here we go. So Ivana is here. Ivana, ¿cómo estás? Desde Argentina, from Argentina. Welcome, my friend. It's good to see you. Global AI community. By the way, if you are not part of a global AI community, there is a chapter in almost every corner of the planet. A couple of my friends work on that. Hank being one of them. Hank Bowman, he's awesome. So make sure if you are not part of a global AI, these are local meetups where you can actually hang out. Very good. Shah is back from London. Welcome, my friend. It's good to have you. And then Salim Oyinlola from Ames. Welcome. And then Ivana is working on agents and more agents. I should do a show where it's just like us and we can talk about like what agents are. In fact, for those who don't know, next week, a week from Friday, I'm going to be in Japan. I should get that up. It's like Azure. Here, let me find it. Here. I'm going to be in Japan a week from Friday. If you are in Japan, you should come see me. It's called Azure OpenAI Dev Day. Azure OpenAI Dev Day. Service Dev Day. Nice. Website. Azure AI Dev Day 20. Yes. I know some of these people are going to be there. I'm going to be talking. The talk I'm giving is practical guide to agentic AI, building smarter systems for developers. Maybe I should have not building smarter systems for developers, but the talk is for developers. So that's Azure OpenAI Dev Day. You can register now. if you would so desire to be there. All right. So DF Meta, hello, my friend. Welcome. We met in person. I don't know where it was. It was like an event. It was so good. By the way, if you're ever at any of the events that I'm at, please do ping me. I love talking to people. Seriously. Oh, looks like my AI speakeasy. Yeah, I was in also. Oh shoot, I totally forgot. So let me actually share my screen and show you a couple of stuff here. So let me find the websites here, so you can take a look at that. This thing, Azure OpenAI Dev Day, and then there was a .NET Rocks list ever. Sorry, there you go. It disconnected for a second. Okay, the longest running shows, podcasts ever. So let me share my screen again so you can see it. There we go. So here we go. Let me move this over here. So two things: Azure OpenAI Service Day, 7/18, which is a week from Friday. I'm going to be in Tokyo at the Otemachi Otemachi Place Hall and Conference. I'm really excited about this one. I'm going to be talking practical. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Here's the website. So let's go there. Speakers. That's me. Practical guide. Here we go. We'll zoom it. Practical guide to agentic AI building smart systems for developers. I should have said, but comma, for developers. As AI-powered agents become essential to, I'm not going to lie, I put some thoughts into a chat GPT of like, I want this thing, and it wrote it for me. So I'm gonna be straight. As AI-powered agents become essential to modern business, technical professionals face a growing need to understand how to design, build, and deploy them effectively. Yes. This session provides a hands-on, pragmatic approach to integrating agentic AI into your systems. I am I work on Azure AI Foundry here in at Microsoft, and so one of the things is that I am a champion for putting these things into existing applications. In general, everyone seems to want to like make a new system, but I'm like, you can put it in your system now. You'll explore different types of agents, key concepts of guide development, and the tools are primarily will also cover critical considerations for securing connecting agents within your tech stack. Yes. I'm glad I read this because I was like, oh yeah, I know exactly how I would talk about this. By the end of the session, you'll have a clear roadmap for leveraging agentic AI to enhance your business processes and drive innovation. Hey, maybe I'll do like a one-off AI show during the week as I prepare for this, just to spitball some of the talk so that we can, work on it together. And I'm not a vice president of products, but that's okay. I will be a vice president in Japan. I'm okay with that. So that's Azure OpenAI Service Dev Day 2025. And I'm bringing one of my kids because I've never taken my kids on one of these trips and they want to go to Japan. So I'm bringing them. That's number one thing. Number two thing, .NET Rocks. Thinking agentic AI with Seth Juarez. Yeah, I do an explanation. I will admit, though, this was at the tail end of Microsoft Build. And so I was a little tired. So you got unfiltered Seth. For those that know me, this is like semi-unfiltered. Fully unfiltered, you can get .NET Rocks thinking agentic AI. One of the problems I have with this stuff is not that it's bad; it's actually quite good. But I think we overinflate and over abstract some of this stuff to the point that like the stuff that it sometimes can become meaningless. And so that's not a fan of that stuff, right? So thinking agentic AI that came out July 3rd, agentic AI, and I've known Richard and Carl for nigh 15 years. In fact, the first let's see. When search shows, their search work. Boop. Oh yeah, look at that. The very first time I was in .NET Rocks. So FYI, I was doing machine learning before it was cool. This was July 15, 2010. Machine learning algorithms. So I've been on there quite a bit, and you can. It's like a lot, like episode 576, July 15. This is like it's July 7th right now. So this is almost 15 years ago to the day. So yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. Okay, I think maybe it's time to get on with the show here. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Yes. Open MC is not as good as OpenAI. Yes. Yes. And one of the things that maybe I'll, as I prepare for this talk, I want to crack open what's actually happening inside of an AI agent, because there's a misconception. I'll just tell you, there's a misconception that the model executes code. It does not. The models recommend code paths for you to follow. That's a different way of thinking. The model recommends code paths for you to follow. It is your service code that actually executes it. The model does not like run amok in your systems. It recommends code paths for you to follow. All right, let's get going here on oh yeah, Diabeta. In 2010, only 2 people were doing this. Yes, me and someone else. No, there was a lot of people doing machine learning. In fact, it was more of a researchy thing, but the distance between research and development, practical development, is shortened quite a bit. And with that, we are going to start with practical. Like if you haven't done something with AI, this is going to really help you because it literally gets you started soups quick. AI templates starting now. You're not going to want to miss this episode of the AI Show, where we talk all about AI app templates in Azure AI Foundry with my friend Mark and Varun. Make sure you tune in. Hello and welcome to this episode of the AI Show. We're talking all about AI app templates in Azure AI Foundry with my friend Mark and Varun. How you doing, my friends?
Hi, Seth.
All right, so I thought we'd start with introductions. Why don't we start with you, Varun, and then we'll go to you, Mark.
Sure. My name is Varun, and I'm a product lead in AI Foundry for templates.
Fantastic. And Mark?
Yeah, Mark. Mark Taylor. I'm an engineering lead for Foundry templates and cover the ones we'll be demoing.
Amazing. So let's start with you, Varun. Tell us about app templates. What problems are they trying to solve?
Yeah. Before we talk about the templates, let's start with the challenges. I mean, businesses across all the industries are navigating rapidly in an evolving world of AI. While the pressure to adopt AI technologies and quickly demonstrate the value of AI is growing, the path to implementation is far from simple, especially for the developers. I mean, starting from scratch can be very, very complicated and time-consuming. Building AI solutions requires stitching together multiple components, such as data pipelines, model orchestration, scalable infrastructure, etc. So without the right foundation or a reusable assets, these obstacles can slow down the progress and increase cost, increase time, and create uncertainty about the return of investments.
Yeah, and that's... Sorry, go ahead. You were saying.
And that's why we build these AI templates.
Yeah, and my sense is that like these applications have a lot of gluing of stuff together to make them even work. I know that like I built some of this stuff. Is that what this is intended to solve?
Exactly. This is what it's going to be solving, all those problems, so that the developers can really focus on solving the business problems rather than kind of how do we stitch together different components.
So that's where app templates come in. Why don't you tell us about those?
Yes, absolutely. So these AI templates provide a powerful head start for teams looking to explore, build, and scale AI applications without the overhead of starting from scratch. They really enable developers to go from idea to deployments all within few minutes, really helping them to accelerate experimentation and reduce the time required to demonstrate the real business values. And these templates are designed to streamline the development process, really offering a pre-built and a modular components that handle the most common tasks that you need. For example, data integration or orchestration or a prompt engineering or a deployments, etc. So by leveraging these ready-to-use blueprints, team can really focus on solving domain-specific business problems and less on setting up these foundational infrastructures. And these templates support a wide spectrum of scenarios, from a basic prototypes to really a production-grade solutions. They are really highly customizable, so definitely allowing our developers to adopt to a diverse business needs, such as optimizing customer service operations, or automating repetitive tasks, or analyzing large data sets, or improving search and a product discovery, or validating code, or many more.
Okay, so I have this slide here, but before we get to it, I thought, how did you actually pick the templates that are going to, because I see a lot of templates here of the kinds that are available, but how did you actually pick them?
And that's the major focus and effort went into that, Seth. So these templates are really built to address the most common and high impact use cases and technical patterns that businesses encounters when they try out AI. And they are not just theoretical examples, they are grounded in a real world needs. And we developed these collection of templates by analyzing insights from over 1,500 customer engagements across the industries. And through these different conversations and surveys, we identified recurring challenges and patterns and opportunities where AI can deliver the most value. And they definitely vary from complexity to support wide range of teams, those who are looking to try out AI, or to more ready to advanced production scale solutions. And this flexibility really empowers organizations and developers to deliver results much faster.
Got it. And so these templates that we're seeing here on the screen were from seeing what customers are already doing and the challenges, and they're meant to address the challenges that they're having in doing these things.
Absolutely, yes.
That's amazing. So I feel like I want to see some of this stuff in action. What do you got for us, Mark?
Sure. I'll just share my screen here. When you install Foundry and you have it in the portal and you open it, you can see that in Foundry there's a portal available to you that you can go to that's sort of a dedicated developer portal. And within that, you can see on the right here, there's a whole bunch of options that you have for accessing various Foundry functions. But one of them is templates. So that's kind of when Varun was referring to the templates, these are the business use cases, and they're all here for you. Each one of them is sort of standardized. So you've got an open in GitHub button for all of these. All of these have open source code associated with them, and they kind of fall into two basic categories. So there's the getting started templates. We have two of those, one for sort of getting started with the general chat application and one for getting started with agents. And then there's a whole bunch of these that are based on kind of more customer scenarios and are more complex. And we'll be looking more in depth at the multi-agent workflow a little later, but I'll start by kind of showing this getting started with agents template. And all of these will have a similar sort of layout. So it should help you to get started faster with any of them. There'll be a solution overview with an architecture, key features. So you can see here that some of the key features of this one are built-in monitoring and tracing, agent evaluation, some security features, and some screenshots of showing you how the application will look. We also have a similar deploy experience for all of them. So we'll kind of cover what that looks like in a little more detail, but the basic options are that there's two kind of push button options. One is that you can open a sort of virtual developer environment within code spaces, or you can use dev containers. And so that's just a button click, and then you're off and running for the deployment. You can also, it's a little more complicated, but you can also use a local kind of setup there. And you can see, I'll just show quickly down here, we cover all of the configuration options from the deployment. And then there's a couple of areas where we go drill a little bit more in depth with those features. So you can see more in depth about what's supported for tracing and monitoring and agent evaluation and those kinds of things, along with some of the security features. So that's what the templates look like overall.
That's cool. That's cool. But did you brought something to show us it working in action? Is that right?
Yes. So we can kind of demo what the experience would be with the multi-agent template. And again, these are to kind of get started. So developers would use this to get started with projects, or you might even use this for demoing to folks who are stakeholders. But let's go ahead and take a look at, on the multi-agent template, what it would look like to install this thing. And we have a video here to kind of, the install takes a little bit longer. So we have a video here. You just scroll down within the GitHub. And in this case, we've picked Codespaces. The first step is just logging into Codespaces. Then we'll create a new Codespace. And from here, we open VS Code. And if you don't have VS Code installed, there's a link for you to go ahead and install it. This takes a little while to set up. We've kind of skipped through that, but VS Code will open with the project in the left-hand pane. From there, you just open a terminal, and all you have to do using the Azure Developer CLI is type AZD up. And at that point, it will walk you through a number of different options. Some of them are really basic, like logging in and location and setting up an environment name. This is just sort of a unique name that gets tagged to all of your resources and identifies your project. There's a couple in here. I think we're going to go next to picking the subscription, and then after that we'll be looking at location. But there's a couple of here that are worth talking about a little bit more. Our location is divided, so we have a model location and then we have an infrastructure location. The reason we did that is because we hit a lot of sort of resource constraints on the model location a lot. So this is only showing those locations where it will support this particular solution. So I've gone down and I'm installing the model in Sweden Central, the Foundry implementation in Sweden Central. This next one is a choice of using a well-architected framework installation for your infrastructure, or using a straight, the basic infrastructure. In this case, it's set up to automatically use the basic infrastructure. If you were to select the well-architected framework infrastructure, you'd get production level things like private endpoints and private networks. The rest of these things are all fairly self-explanatory, so we've skipped over some of those in the video presentation here. So this will go through, and it takes about 7 to 10 minutes to install. You can see here in the output, it's 7 minutes and 42 seconds it took for this particular run.
That's cool. And so what it's doing is it's actually setting everything up, right?
Yeah, it's setting everything up, all of your services, everything that you would need. And you can see here a list of the resulting resource group of those services. And we're just going through here and showing how you would actually start the application from the web service. But yeah, it sets up all of the basic infrastructure. And as I said, on the well-architected framework infrastructure, that choice would have set up a lot of extra resources that are more needed for kind of a production environment. The resources that we set up here are more sort of the basic resources to get started with the template, maybe do a proof of concept, something like that. Okay, so once that's deployed, we can actually go into the multi-agent workflow automation GitHub here, and this will show us what we saw in the video. But once that's deployed, what we will get are these services. So Cosmos, Foundry, a container app, and a website, along with some services to support containerized. All of these things are containerized. So supporting those containers, we have some services that are for that as well. But what's most interesting is kind of this agentic architecture, which shows how the app actually works. So the basics of the app is when I put in a request, there's an agent that takes a look at that request and will come up with a step-by-step plan to achieve whatever it is I've asked it for. And it comes up with that plan in the context of all of the agents that it has that can support it. So in this case, you can see HR, procurement, product. All of these agents are supporting that plan. Once it has that plan, it has a kind of step-by-step representation that it puts in a ledger, which kind of tracks the plan throughout and the state of the plan in Cosmos. There's a group chat manager that actually goes through, and with a human in the loop, so I can approve or reject any of these, we'll go through and execute the different steps in the plan using the agents that the planner agent has access to. So I can show a quick demo of this. You can see the application here, and we've got some quick tasks set up to show how it works. I can draft a press release, and this is going out now, and it's accessing the agents that I've defined for it, that it has access to, and is deciding how it can write a press release about current products. So right now it's creating a plan. The planner agent is doing that.
So while it's doing that, because I know this takes a little bit of time, effectively it's a modern planner architecture that you've deployed into whatever services I, for example, have using the template.
Yes.
Okay.
Using the template, we've deployed basically this whole application, and you can modify this to meet your needs. But it's basically set up as a planner kind of orchestrator. So you can think of it as the planner is orchestrating all of the activities using the LLM, and the plans are not determinative. So I might, be able to type in anything that I want here and get a plan for it, and it will try and use the agents it has access to go ahead and implement the plan. So in this case, I'm going to get information about different products, and this is using the product agent. You can see here that we list the agents that it's kind of enlisting in its plan. So I get information about different products from that. It looks like it gave me a number of pieces of information about my phone plans and other products that I have. And the marketing agent now should be going and writing an actual press release as I asked it to do. So there it is. The marketing agent writes a press release.
This is amazing. People are going to want to do this. Where can people go to find out more, Varun?
Yes, and as you saw, we have built the multi-agent app all within 10 minutes. And there are a bunch of templates that we built. And you can access this in the AI Foundry. And all of those ties to multiple use cases, around 70 plus use cases. So go now and try it in AI Foundry. There's a tab on the left. It's AI template, explore.
I love it. And then there's also a blog post. Can y'all tell me more about this?
Yes. So there's a blog post where also published around it, which explains like these are different templates that we build, how it ties back to the different use cases. If you're a beginner, you try to get started with the AI agent or AI chat. Or if you have a sophisticated use cases, you can try one of the other templates that we have built, and it explains you step by step how to kind of get it deployed.
Thank you. Well, this is awesome. I am a huge fan of getting started stuff that actually exercises the product. So I'm very excited about this. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, my friends.
Thank you for having us here.
And thank you so much for watching. We're learning all about AI app templates in Azure AI Foundry on this, the AI show. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Take care. How about them apples? Wasn't that awesome? Questions about that? Oh, here's one. Way too complicated. Just chat with your data. Yeah, chat with your data is awesome. But you could do more. This is one example of them. I use these things as how do I say this? I use these things as like glorified control structures that convert language into business value. And if you go to that level of abstraction, there's nothing that's out of reach with this stuff, which is really cool. So yes, it is way too complicated for like a chat with your data. Chat with your data is awesome. In fact, there is a new feature on GitHub. I think it's called GitHub Spaces, where you can ground it in exactly the right part of your repo. GitHub's doing some pretty cool stuff in this space. So I should have Catlin on. She's a PM over there that's doing some cool stuff. Maybe she can take us on a whirlwind tour of the AI stuff. I'm gonna message her. She's so good, by the way. And yeah, make sure you check out the blog and the templates. Here's another one. You can also use GitHub Copilot agent mode to guide you with the installation of your. Yes. Hold on. I'm going to say it really nicely.
Yes.
I'm learning my new soundboard, so I'm sorry you had to hear that. All right, it's top of the hour. I think we have a friend here. Vinod, you ready? Give me a thumbs up. All right, so Vinod is here. How you doing, bud?
Good, Seth. Thank you.
Content understanding, my friend. We do not talk about it enough.
That is true. We've really been on a tear for the last few months or a little longer. And there's been a lot of changes, but we've definitely not been spending enough time talking about all the amazing things that we can do.
I know, and the sad thing, Vinod, is every time I have you on, I'm like, oh, geez. Like, I could be using this to make my life easier, and I don't do it enough. So, by the way, Vinod is here. He can answer questions about that. We cut something up last week. So we're showing you. By the way, if you haven't been on the show before, what we do is with some of my friends, we pre-record something because sometimes it's hard to like show stuff live. Just because I want our guests to be here, like, and be relaxed and answer questions, and then show stuff. That sometimes they show stuff live too. So let's get that going. What do you think? Should we show it?
Perfect. Let's do it.
All right. Let's drill to it. Content understanding, part 2. Here we go. You're not gonna want to miss this episode of the AI Show where we revisit Azure AI content understanding. A build follow up. My friend Vinod. Make sure you tune in. Hello and welcome to this episode of the AI Show where we're talking all about Azure AI content understanding, a build follow-up, my friend Vinod. Vinod, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Seth. Thank you for having me on the show again.
Fantastic. For those who don't know you're quite a regular now. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I am responsible across the Azure AI portfolio services. We have a few different services that we work on. Content understanding is one. Most of our customers know us for document intelligence or OCR, as well as vision services. So we have a portfolio of services that our team works on.
So let's talk about content understanding. We have another video that we've done. We did a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if it was a month or two ago. For those that don't know what it is, can you give us a refresher on what problems it's solving?
Yeah, if you think about content understanding, we're solving two core problems for customers, right? First is how do you get your data into a usable format? And that is all of the unstructured data that you're working with across the enterprise. You know, video, audio. Video is tending to be a hugely accelerated sort of format of data that most enterprises deal with. And making that content usable in scenarios that they need, that's one of the core value props for content understanding. But more importantly, as we've been looking at like how customers are using sort of these tools in the process of generating insights, one of the things we realize is it's not simply a process of extracting information from content. It's a combination of things that they're trying to do. It's a combination of validating that information when it's extracted, ensuring that they can link that information together, generating a representation of the schema that is an aggregation across data sets or across documents or audio and video, and then finally producing sort of an output that a human can validate, look at, and ensure that it's actually usable. So a lot of these things have typically been handled as sort of a post-processing or sort of a multiple steps in a process. And with content understanding, we're trying to bring all this together into one easy-to-use step for most customers.
Yeah, and I love the idea because I remember it's all coming back to me now. But I remember specifically thinking, wow, so basically any kind of fuzzy asset like a PDF or a Word doc or a video or even an image of a form, I can use to unfuzzy it in a fuzzy way. Like, because I remember looking at this and you're like, yeah, just tell it the fields you want and it'll pull it out. I'm like, well, is there more? No, it isn't. And so I love the way of looking at content understanding as a way of going from human-made things like docs and going into structured things that then you can use and automate in a workflow. Did I get that right? Because that's what I'm recollecting.
That's exactly it, right? And that workflow could be an agent. So content understanding could be a tool that every agent can use, or it could just be a simple workflow, right? Like depending on what the need is. But most importantly, it's about bringing those two components together, which is essentially generating the structured output, but then reasoning over it to produce the actual output that you need as part of the downstream process, right? And I think we'll talk a little bit more as we go through it today.
I love it. So that was that little sort of like a recap of the last episode. But we've since had Microsoft Build, which is one of Microsoft's big flagship conferences, and you announced some things. What are some of the new problems that you're solving with people can solve with content understanding?
Yeah, so at Build, we announced a new capability within content understanding that's being released as Pro Mode, right? If you think about a typical task, right, Seth, I ask you to say, Seth, can you work on this problem for me? And say, like, can you extract all this information from these documents for me? Let's just take taxes as a simple example, okay? I give you a shoebox full of documents and I say, Seth, can you extract all this information from me, from these taxes, right? And now the problem becomes, not only do I have to go extract all the different fields that I need from each of these individual documents, but I have to now create in the US, it's a 1040, and in different parts of the world, it's a different type of document, right? So you have to create a schema that is representative of your tax problem. So that's essentially one of the things that we're building into content understanding with Pro Mode is it adds two specific capabilities. First is the ability for you to bring in multiple input files into a single request or a single process. And then the second is it allows you to bring in reference data, which is your organizational knowledge, your organizational processes, your standard operating procedures, to now combine those two things and produce the output that you want. So this requires a lot of reasoning. That is another new capability that's being added into content understanding. And so Pro Mode is essentially a combination of all of these things. Think of it as a fast lane and a slow lane. Like you can give us a document and say, just extract these things for me. That's standard mode. We just go as fast as we can, extract the things that you need, and you're off and running. But with Pro Mode, think of it as a little bit more of a, okay, I'm giving you a job. I want you to take some time to think about this problem and produce the right output that I need. And that's where Pro Mode excels at, is really taking all these different components of the input and then producing the output that you need.
Holy cow. So let me see if I understand this right, because like you laid down some knowledge. I didn't know if I got it. So essentially not the old way, but the fast way is you give it a document and it extracts stuff. Now in Pro Mode, you give it a document or something or collection of things, it extracts stuff, but then you want it to do some task with that information, like an agentic task or even just a reasoning model to be like, okay, now from this information, look at this doc on what you're supposed to do and execute on that. Is that right? Because I feel like I fuzzily get it.
Yes, exactly right. Like look, let's take a simple example that is not taxes, right? So I've got a demo that I can show you with contracts, for example, right? Where there's two contracts. You get a red line version of a contract. You're trying to just identify what are the two differences between these two contracts, so I can know like what I need to focus on as an individual, right? But then there's also things that you might want to understand about, like, hey, how does this contract differ from any of the standard terms that I have within my organization, right? And now it makes it more meaningful, because now you can say like, okay, not only are these two terms, did the terms on these contracts change, but now I can also say, oh, this is actually a non-standard term for me. So now I need to go back to my lawyers and work with them on making sure that this actually is something that we can sign.
I think I get it now. So it's more of like extracting things, but then also reasoning over the extracted things based on other reference, pieces of content.
Exactly, right. So it's you, if you think about that workflow, right? So most customers will build today is they extract this information, then they go through this process of validating all this information, then they go through this process of like defining the right structure that they need from this particular document, image, audio, or video. And eventually then it gets to a human, where the human looks at it and says like, okay, this kind of makes sense to me, or this might not make sense to me. And they sort of perform those actions, right? And so what we're trying to do is maximize the amount of things that we can do within content understanding to minimize the human sort of action or activity that humans need to perform.
So I'm just spitballing here, Vinod, because I just had a spark of an idea. I could effectively, if I want, as part of the AI show workflow process, take this video, put it into content understanding, give it a document that says, these are the ways we like to do our show summaries for AI show. make a summary for me on this video, and it will just do it?
Technically, yes, but right now, not quite there yet.
Okay.
The reason being, Content Understanding Pro mode currently only supports documents as the input. Working on extending that.
But I could actually output content understanding. I could make a document of the show transcript and then pass it in again.
Absolutely.
See?
Yes.
We made it work in my head. And I love that idea because this makes it real for me. I love the legal one as well. But being able to go from video to text, because I also probably want the transcript too, if I'm being honest, and convert it into like VTT files, like which are like for transcripts. And then I could use that transcript to generate a summary according to a reasoning thing. I feel like I want to see this. You got something to show us?
Yeah, let me actually show you a couple of things, right? So you talked a little bit about the video scenario, but before we do that, let's go take a look at like how you might use content understanding with documents to start with, right?
Let's do it.
So let me do this. Let me share my screen. Let me know when you can see this. So what you see here is a couple of different input files that I have. You'll see that I have 2 different versions of the exact same contract. So it's the same contract, just 2 different versions. Think of it as like you created a version, I updated it with a slightly different set of terms that I wanted based on what my sort of redline version is. But I also have additional files that I'm bringing in as reference data, right? And when you think about reference data, this could be your organizational knowledge. In this case, it is the standard terms for the particular organization that's dealing with this particular contract. So the task that we're setting up here is to say, let's go extract some information from these documents. Each of these things are like typical things that you would expect from a contract, like the different parties involved, start dates and end dates and things like that, right? But I'm also doing something a little bit more complicated, which is extracting a list of all the clauses that are contained within this contract. And now we go even further and we say, let's go identify each of the deviations from the standard terms, right? So I'm just giving it a simple description in the description field, which by the way is super powerful. Like you can just define what you want as plain English in the description, and it's now going to look at each of the clauses in the contract, identify which of these is the terms in the standard terms, and then go identify if there's any specific differences. So that's essentially what we're trying to do with these 2 fields that we've defined, right? Now this particular process takes a little bit of time to run. I just
hold on before we go there, because I want to make sure before we go to another tab. So here's the question I have, and this here, let me put our faces up so people can see us. So the question I have is, these fields, like you just add it and tell it like, give me a field like this.
Yes.
So the clauses make sense to me.
Yeah.
How do I? Let me move our faces because it might be in the way. How does it know when it talks about deviations from standard? How does it know to look at other documents to know what the deviations are?
So that's essentially all we're doing with this little description field, right? So we're telling it, like, review each of the clauses, compare it to the corresponding clauses in the standard terms in its entirety, and if there's any differences, describe the specific deviations. So that's all you're trying to. That's all you need to do to tell it that, hey, I'm going to expect that there's going to be some standard terms you can find. Go find those. And when you find those, compare the terms in this contract or the clauses in this contract to those standard terms and tell me if there's any deviations.
So you don't even have to, like, that's all you have to do.
That's all you have to do. Okay.
All right. So I need to see this sorcery here. And how do you actually execute this and then make it do its thing?
Yeah. So all I do is, in this case, I gave it 2 separate documents to compare, as well as I showed you the reference data that we added in.
Right.
I'm going to hit run analysis here. This run analysis is basically going to analyze these 2 inputs against that reference data that we provided. And now I can go try this out, right? But it typically takes a couple of minutes for this to run because, again, this reasoning model takes a little bit of time to go through all these documents and try to figure this out. So I've already
run a couple of minutes. Are we talking like 15 minutes or what?
Oh, no, it's about 2 to 3 minutes in this.
Okay. So I know, like, let's put our face up. I know that this happens a lot. Everyone's like, I just got to apologize here. This model is going to take about, 120 seconds to read 2 legal documents, compare them against each other, and then compare them against a reference document. But sorry, it's going to take 120 seconds. We always apologize. I think this is awesome that it's actually doing that. to be honest.
It is pretty incredible the amount of work that's being done, right? And it's also, if you think about the problem, it's more than just simply that. It's also that reference data that you saw was a single document. You could give us a list of documents, and then now it has to do an additional search, try to find the one that actually matters, and then bring that into the process. So it's actually doing a ton of work on your behalf behind the scenes.
All right, let's see the output.
Yeah. So if you look at the output, you'll see that I'm obviously extracting all the typical fields that you'd expect to find in these contracts. But when you look at the clauses, again, you'll see that it's got about 22 clauses that it's extracting. It's just extracting the title of the clause. That's all I care about for right now. But when you start looking at the more complex fields that require to understand what's happening here, you'll see that there's a few different examples here that it's identifying some issues with, right? So for example, it's saying that there's a deviation between the contract version that says the cure period of 60 days versus the standard term says only 30 days, right? So this particular vendor is trying to ask for additional time for this default remediation process. Now, as a human, I can then determine if like, hey, is this okay? Am I okay with this? Or do I want to go back to the customer or the contract and say, no, we want to stick to our standard terms of 30 days, right? Similarly, you'll see that there's also the same sort of issues happening with cancellation notice. And finally, as you look at sort of the differences, you'll also notice that there's some additional differences that it's calling out, which is there's differences between the two contracts themselves, right? So if you look at this particular contract, it says July 30th versus this particular contract, it says July 8th, right? So there's differences between the contracts that it's able to identify. There's differences between the contract terms and the standard terms that it's able to identify, and it's able to put this together in a consumable format that you defined as the schema that you want to extract from this.
That's really cool. And this is now available as of build, which was in May.
This is available in preview as of build, right? So now we're on our path to GA. So we're looking to GA later this year. And as we go through that process, this is also going to be a capability that customers can start using right now in content understanding.
Fantastic.
Yeah, there's actually one more thing that I wanted to call out, right? As you think about how you use that description field is super powerful, right? So in this example, I just gave it a video as an input, and I said, oh, as an output, I also want just the Spanish translation of the description, right? Don't just give me the description of the video, also give me the Spanish translation of the description, right? And you can see here, Seth, you speak Spanish.
Yes.
No, I don't. So this is a video that describes how to use a ladder or a lift and change a light bulb, I think is what it's trying to describe here. So
that's cool.
That's pretty consistent.
And so is this a new feature for video as of build, or what is this? What's the new bits of this stuff?
There's really no new bits. What I wanted to call out is like for example, if you look at this actual schema that was defined, I'm just giving it like a field name that's saying Spanish description, and I'm just giving it a description that says generate the Spanish language translation of the description that you're generating for this particular field, right? So it's what I'm just trying to call out is the versatility of the product, and it can just do what you want it to do without you having to do a lot of work and calling a bunch of APIs and trying to figure this out for yourself.
So it turns out we can take this very video, put it into content understanding, and have it generate a description for me.
Exactly.
See, and in multiple languages if we want to as well.
Exactly. So you could do translations of each of the different speakers into different languages, as many as you needed.
Well, this is awesome. Where can people go to find out more?
So we have some links. Obviously, like I'd like to share the blog announcement of like what we launched at Build, because that probably gives a lot more context around not just Pro Mode, but a ton of other newer features that were released as part of the payload. But we also have the What's New page and Content Understanding that you can go look at, as well as the Pro Mode page and Content Understanding to learn more.
Awesome. We have a quick start as well. Well, this has been awesome, Vinod. It's always a pleasure to have you on, my friend.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much, Seth.
Yeah, and thank you so much for watching. We're learning all about Azure AI Content Understanding, a build follow-up with my friend Vinod Kurpad. You might see us using this tech for the AI show here shortly. So thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Take care. That was awesome. Well done. There's not very many questions. There's just one from Shah. He's one of our regulars. He says, "That is awesome."
Thank you, Shah. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So, can you give us a sense of like how people are using this stuff? Do you have it? Oh, that was scary. I pushed the wrong button.
I was
Do you have
wondering that, yeah.
Did you get? Oh, sorry to scare you. Do you have a sense of how people are using this stuff or things that we're doing?
Yeah, I think there's realistically a couple of different scenarios that we see a lot of use traction in, right? Document processing and content processing in an organization is probably the most common pattern that any agentic app or process needs to solve, right? Because at the end of the day, any organization works on the content that's contained within it, right? And the ability to work for workflows to work on the content. And I think that's the one pattern that we see a lot of, obviously, is like, automation has been a lot of what document intelligence was built on, and automation continues to be the area that a lot of content understanding is essentially targeted towards. We're also starting to see a lot of more interesting scenarios, like things like ad placement and videos and things like that that are interesting sort of use cases for this content or for the ways that people can use content understanding. And finally, I think there's one aspect that we see a lot of is sort of this tools ecosystem coming together around how to kind of package content understanding up as a tool and make it available for agents to use.
I mean, and one of the things that I was talking to our producer Rhiannon, by the way, is one of our producers. She's awesome. She's always in the background, always in the background, always watching. Yeah, there's a like with content understanding. There, like once we finish a video, I could literally create an application, upload it, have it understand the content, extract important bits of it, or even just like extract like a really detailed summary or transcript, or do something like that. And then I could use it to like, because one of the things we stink at, Vinod, is we probably need to spend more time promoting like, hey, this video came out, you should go look at it. And I could just automatically just like click buttons and it could automatically create kind of tweets for me. Do we call them tweets anymore? I don't know what we call them. Or social media posts for me. And I can put it in a whole pipeline of like automation, which is kind of cool to me.
Exactly. And you could even do things like, generate many segments of the show, right? You can just say like, hey, generate a clip for me that is like, 15 seconds long, just a teaser, and that's all.
See, and that's even better. Like we could like in part of the social media, we can like, hey, find the part about this and then create a clip for me and then post it as here's a teaser. You should find out more. To find out more, go to blah. Like there's so much you can do with this stuff that I think it's really great. So where should people like if people are curious, what's the best way to get started? Is it just literally go to AI Foundry and start playing with it?
Go to AI Foundry and start playing with it. Absolutely. That would be my recommendation, right? There's also quick starts on the documentation page that you can follow along. If you wanted to use just a canned sort of, okay, I'll do it the way you want me to do it first, and then I'll try it out with my data later. That's one way to do it. But if you want to just dive in, AI Foundry is where we'd recommend you do it. Within the AI Foundry, as of right now, there's 2 project options. You want to select the hub-based project option to get started with content understanding. And then we also have a couple of limitations in terms of the regions that we're available in, right? So right now we are available only in 3 specific regions, West US, Sweden Central, and Australia East. So you need an AI hub resource in one of those 3 regions to get started.
Got it. And there's an API. There's an API for all of this stuff, right? And like Python, C# and like, can I like code to this?
There is absolutely. So everything we do is intended to be usable as code, right? So everything we do is intended that you're going to get a REST API, because at the end of everything that you do in the Foundry, the last step that you're going to do is essentially click this button that says Build Analyzer. That Build Analyzer generates a REST API for you that now is sort of the API that your applications need to use.
I'm getting it. So so what you're doing online is you're actually like creating a bunch of analyzers, and then there's going to be an endpoint that you can hit to use that analyzer.
Exactly, right. So the visual aspect of what you're doing in the Foundry is more for you as the human to make sure that you're going to get the right output that you want. And then once you're confident that that works for what you're trying to do, you build the analyzer, and that's your automation scenario at that point.
I love it. Well, Vinod, this has been awesome, dude. Thanks for spending some time with us, bud.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you so much, Seth.
All right. Here's a question. Just got it from Irfan. Is there a TypeScript SDK for this?
We don't have a TypeScript SDK yet. We are working on a JavaScript SDK. I assume TypeScript is going to be a similar variation of JavaScript. That's my understanding. But it should be coming out in the next week or two. Is what
Look at you, Irf. You are getting the deets as we speak. Yeah, and the TypeScript is just like if you're doing JavaScript, TypeScript will just work. So that's the good news. Well, thank you so much, bud. We'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cheers. All right, that was awesome. It's time to start with the walk-off music here because we're almost out of time here. We got about 5 more minutes. By the way, we try to get you the latest stuff. We give you 2 solid. We used to, what we used to do? We only used to give you like 1 segment per show. We do 2 now per show, and so you're getting double the goodness. Double the goodness every day. Every day, every Monday. Next time on the AI show, if you're wondering, sometimes I don't even know. Achieve end-to-end observability in Azure. Oh, Sebastian Kohlmeyer, he's a good dude. And then at 9 a.m., TBAs are the awesomest because sometimes we don't have a second segment, so I get to make up stuff. Maybe we'll do a preview of. Oh wait, hold on. Someone's telling me something. Maybe someone's telling. Maybe we can do on the second half. We can do a preview of my. One of my talk at the Azure Open AI Dev Day in Tokyo, Japan. I leave Tuesday, I think. So we'll have a show next week, of course. All right. Let's take a look at the chat to see if there's any final. Oh, Janice number 7. Thank you, sir, for being here. Always good to have you. Sometimes he holds down the fort on Twitch, as well as Surly Dev. Thank you, kind sir. And a lot of folks I've actually met personally, which is great. And if I haven't, and you come to any of our stuff, let us know. We're gonna be working on this next semester. I say semester because I plan stuff in terms of semesters. Get you more information on what's coming out in the AI show, so you'll have something to look forward to in terms of that. And then maybe even a place where you can suggest some shows that we can do. Hey, I was wondering about that because sometimes we have like next week we have a second half TBA. We can cover something of your choosing. All right. Well, I want to thank you for spending some time with us today. You have many choices with your time, and we're so grateful you can spend time with us here on the AI show. Hopefully it's helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next week on the AI show live. Take care.
you.